How's it going, Eliminators? Today we're going to be installing an MBRP Pro Series side exit exhaust on my 2019 Ford F150 with a 5-liter V8. Now the part number for this specific exhaust that we'll be installing today is an MBRP S5260-304. This exhaust is made from 304 stainless steel, which is known as a 300 series stainless steel. Now MBRP also offers this exhaust in a 409 stainless steel. However, a 400 series stainless steel is magnetic, which means that contrary to popular belief, the 409 stainless steel will end up rusting after a few years. Now, when I was looking at purchasing this exhaust, the 304 stainless steel was only $61 more than the 409 series, and MBRP offers a no-hassle lifetime warranty on all of their Pro Series exhaust systems, so the Pro Series was the way to go. As per their website, MBRP states that the Pro Series delivers a rich, mellow exhaust note and will increase flow up to 70% when compared to the OEM exhaust system. The kit that we're using today includes all the necessary hardware, the exhaust, the muffler, and will utilize all of the OEM hangers plus one that MBRP supplies, which will give us a complete bolt-on catback exhaust. So with that being said, let's get right to the install. So I have here the 3-inch 304 stainless MBRP side exit exhaust. We are going to have to trim the main piece because they make them longer so that they can fit all kinds of different trim and model trucks. But this is designed for the 5-liter F150. The main difference of the MBRP exhaust is this is a 3-inch outside diameter, whereas the factory exhaust is a 2.5-inch diameter. And you guys can see here, that drum there, that's known as a resonator. And if we come farther back on the exhaust, you're going to see the muffler. And look how massive that muffler is on the stock exhaust. So the main difference between the MBRP is you guys are going to notice there is no resonator. So the 3-inch outside diameter pipe is going to make a big difference in flow, but the resonator delete is also going to make a huge difference in sound. And coming over to the muffler, it has a 1 in and a 2 out design. And if we look through the muffler here, you guys can see a lot of daylight here, folks. So this is going to muffle only a small amount of noise. And just looking at the size difference, you can already see that that is much smaller than the factory muffler. So to start off, right in front of the resonator, there's going to be a flange, and it's going to have two 13mm nuts on them. We're going to go ahead and loosen them off. Now, once you start to get this exhaust loose, they say that you can remove the entire exhaust just by pulling it out of the hangers. But what we're going to do is go ahead and just remove the hangers right from the frame, and then we can go ahead and install them later. And then right above the muffler here, there's going to be another hanger inside of there. We're going to go ahead and loosen that off as well. And then right near the spare tire, there's going to be a hanger up there. So after we get all of those hanger brackets loose, what we're going to do is remove those bolts, and we're going to drop this entire exhaust all in one piece. Okay, so what we're doing now is measuring the pipe and marking it where we're going to cut it. MBRP gives you a measuring chart. My truck is a regular cab with a 6.5-foot box, so it has a 122-inch wheelbase, and it says that we should cut the front pipe to 7.25 inches, which is 7.25 inch. So this mark here is where the instruction says we should cut it, but it's very close to this expanded section here. So what we're going to do is cut it at 9 inches, which is a little bit longer, and then we can always trim back away as we need. So right now we're just going to go ahead and loosely install all of the hardware. We're just trying to mock things up first. So we do have a nice little transmission jack stand, and we're using a chunk of wood to just support the muffler. And then we're coming back to the side pipes. Now the longer pipe is going to go on the outside because it has a longer distance to travel, whereas the shorter one is going to go on the inside there. And then the MBRP is going to be using its own J-clips on the outside of the passenger side frame rail. So now we're just snugging up some of our bolts. So a little tip here, if you guys have these little rubber muffler exhaust hangers, spray them down with penetrating oil and it makes slipping them out quite easy. So we've reinstalled the factory hanger, and we are going to be using the factory rubber hanger. And we've gone ahead and hooked up our clamps to the muffler. Everything is still loose so that we can adjust things as we need. And we're gonna go ahead now and hook up the inside tailpipe. And then we've also gone ahead and installed the exhaust clamp in front of the muffler. So with the inside one hooked up, it should look a little something like that. It will raise up slightly once we start to tighten everything up, but we're starting to get all of our hangers hooked up and it's starting to come together. So the J-clip goes onto the inside pipe, and then the outside pipe is gonna rest on top of that J-clip, and the bolt's gonna go through. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and tighten up all of our hangers first, and then we'll go ahead and start tightening up our clamps. And when we tighten up our clamps, we're going to be going from the front, and we're going to be working our way back down to the tailpipes. So we're gonna go ahead and install the tip. Our pipe on the right here is slightly lower than the left. So what we're gonna do is we've set this tip here to the point where it's almost perfectly level. We're going to lift up on the transmission jack to raise the muffler a little bit, and then this is just our little bit of fine tuning here. Okay, so now that the muffler is angled like MBRP wanted it to be, you guys can see that the exhaust tips are straightening out much better than what they were, and that's because we are now running the muffler on an angle. From the back side here, the hanger is identical to where MBRP wanted it. When you come and look at the exhaust tips, they're almost perfectly parallel, and they're also quite level with the body itself. By dropping the muffler right there down, you're gonna raise this pipe here, and then that downward angle that we had before now converts itself to almost like a rightward angle. That bend comes out to level out our tips. I would like to see MBRP run a nub on this hanger similar to the way that they had on this inside hanger, and then it would just prevent that rubber hanger from popping off. Fast forward a little bit, I wanted to include that I ended up making a slight modification to the outside frame exhaust hanger. I unbolted the hanger and I took it over to my workbench and I drilled a small hole horizontally through the hanger, just big enough to install a spring clip. And the reason I did this was to prevent the rubber mount from slipping off of the metal hanger. In the first picture, you're gonna see that this is basically how the hanger should be. There should be a little bit of metal poking out from the other side of the rubber mount. However, you're gonna notice that my hanger was pretty close to the edge, and I didn't want to have any future issues where a hanger could slip off and damage the exhaust if it was hanging. So I ended up just doing this little modification. You guys will notice that I also used a washer in between the spring clip and the rubber mount, and this is perfect now. It's not coming off, but like I said, if I could make a recommendation to MBRP, it would be to include some kind of larger tip on that metal hanger. But other than that, guys, back to the install. Everything is looking good, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten up all our clamps and then go ahead and line up our tips. So we have the outer tip installed, and you guys can see already things are looking much better. So we're gonna go ahead and pop on the inner tip. So I just rolled the truck out of the shop, and the exhaust tips are looking absolutely perfect. I may have to put the inner tip slightly in farther, because if we get right up to the truck, you guys can see that it just pokes ever so slightly. And there is still a slight little bend, but when you come to where the tips are, you guys can see that they're almost perfectly level. So I guess it all depends on just the positioning of everything. Because MBRP designs this with clamps and nothing's welded, you can always go ahead and loosen stuff off and adjust it as you need. Now, as you guys saw in the video, at first we had one of our exhaust tips lower than the other one, and that's simply because the muffler was installed at the wrong angle. MBRP wants the muffler installed almost at a 45-degree angle, and you'll see it will be in line with the frame brace on the F150. Now, the installation of this exhaust was super easy because everything bolts together, nothing is welded. This entire exhaust setup is fully adjustable once you get it put in there. You can make adjustments wherever you need. It sounds way better in person than it does on a video, I can promise you that, because it's so much deeper and raspier when you get on it and get off it for acceleration and deceleration. And before we wrap up this video, I just wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Jake and his dad for helping me with this install. It wouldn't have been possible without them. So thanks, guys. But that wraps up the installation. If you guys enjoyed the video, think about
leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch the before and after video. I wanted to make a separate video just for that, and you guys are gonna love it. It sounds awesome. I upload videos every week, so be sure to stop on by next week. Check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.